Good evening, YouTuber subscribers and friends and like. It's Grant coming at you from Amarillo, Texas. I just thought I'd have a one-on-one chat with the camera, so to speak, about what happened recently this weekend, because you may or may not have already seen it. I will put in the thumbnail of this video one of the signs that I chose to put. But anyway, kind of got stuck with a Class A, and it was okay and all. But then this last week, as we all know, the price of gas and diesel fuel has gone through the roof. Some states it's $4, some states it's $5. I had to pay once $5.15 a gallon. I had to pay a couple times $4.25 a gallon. And finally, where I'm at, it's only $3.79 a gallon for gas. But that is hitting my bottom line, and every truck driver's bottom line, every transporter's bottom line, every expediter, and anybody who makes their living moving vehicles using fuel. Be that as it may, I decided that enough time has gone by transporting that I wouldn't mind if I get in trouble. Hopefully I don't get in trouble, but I wouldn't mind if that's the consequence of it. And because I had to tape up both compartment side doors to this Class A because they weren't staying connected, because up in the cold where they built it at in Elkhart, it was too cold and the metal constricted, I think it is, when it's in the cold, and so it wouldn't meet where the lock is at. And then as it got warmer, and I'm in Texas now, it's probably about halfway, and they got to readjust the lift thingies, joints, and then whatever, and once they realign it, it'll work. But anyway, in the meantime, I had to tape it up to bring it down here because that's what they told me to do. And so when I had to go buy a bunch of tape to do that with, because I didn't know how much tape I was going to need to do it with, I decided, the light bulb went off in my head, and I thought, well, hey, since the company claims that they said use auto painter's tape, which I've been using for the decals in front until I got the magnetic ones. They said use that one on the compartment doors, and then it won't damage the unit. So being that I went and got that tape, the auto painter's tape that won't damage the unit, I decided to take this weekend, since I had to drive slower anyway because of the cost of fuel. This Class A, I found out between 55 and 60 mile an hour, about 53, 55 mile an hour or so is its sweet spot, give or take, depending. It'll save you more on the fuel if you go that route than if you go anywhere above 60. So, I mean, anything above 60, you're just burning through fuel. But anyway, because I had to do that and go slower, the light bulb went off in my head to where to just, voice my opinion all the way around the van, all around the RV. In hindsight, probably not the best move, but at the same time, I weighed the consequences of what could happen, good or bad, who knows what, and decided that if things were to go downhill the other way, am I okay with doing that? I decided then, yes, I'm okay with doing that, and I will describe to you why. And it's because all my entire life here, I have worked, I don't know, probably a total of 2 years at each job, because I've learned there's like 3 categories to working any kind of job out there. First off, when you're brand new, you're a greenhorn or whatever they want to call you, don't have any idea how the job works, and you learn, how everything goes with working at a job, doesn't matter what job it is. The middle column, I would say, is like intermediate. You know what you're doing enough to get by on your own without a manager's help. And then the third one would be what I would call management material, maybe, or expert in it. And after you do any number of jobs, after you've done it enough and you put enough hours into it, you become what I would say is an expert at what you're doing. You could be put in for management at that position or whatever at that point, because you know all the ins and outs, especially if it's a computer job. But in terms of this and transporting, today, for example, I parked where I shouldn't have parked at, which I knew better. But then a smaller camper came behind me, and the guy was out walking his dog, and so I decided, well, I'll test myself and go around this weird U-turn. It was basically two 90s are basically a U-turn that you shouldn't really be messing with a big Class A like this. This is a 36 or 40 foot long one or something like that. I managed to make it, but I had to make 25 points to go all the way around without hitting anybody and then go back out, because they had pulled in behind me and blocked me, and knowing ahead of time, I should have positioned my RV in such a way that it was already turned while the spot was open before somebody showed up. and then nobody would be able to block you in like that, which I knew that and I knew better. I was just being lazy. But anyway, the light bulb again went off in my head today that apparently I've gained almost everything, I would say, that I need to gain from transporting in terms of driving these bigger vehicles, how they react, and quite frankly, especially with the Class A's and 50-mile-an-hour winds, forcing me to go 50 mph or less because they're high profile. At least these ones are. This one has a garage in the back that's 13.3 high, and so the wind just throws it around like a sail. But anyway, when I first started, I was brand new. Everything was exciting. Blah blah blah. Then I, down the road, quit Pinnacle and Norton and stuff like that because they were having you do the FedEx and UPS step vans. And again, when I first started those, that was fun, but then not worth it after that repeat. These RVs are worth going for, not the Class A's. My preference would be to not drive another Class A after this experience this weekend. But anyway, RVs in general, Class C's and Class B's are worth it for both transporting and for the experience of it. But I don't know, I feel lately like I've reached that pinnacle of expertise to where I don't know if I would be able to learn enough new stuff to keep me entertained for this job. That's why I had no problems putting on a sign on the side of the RV, even though potentially it could get me in trouble with the company about these gas prices. I will put it in the video. I think I'll put the rear end one in the video. Probably be the easiest way to do it. But I put on the back of the vehicle, simple phrase, have to pass me, thank the gas prices, because I knew I'd be going slower, and I was doing 20 miles an hour slower than everybody else, and this is when it wasn't windy. Now I'm in Texas and it's windy, and so I got to do it for that reason anyway, whether gas prices or not. But coming out of Indiana, and especially Illinois, where I was paying $5.15 a gallon, I can't control the prices, but I can control what I do with the fuel that I buy. And so I drove above the minimum. Some of those older interstates were like 45 is the minimum. I drove 50 or 52 mile an hour or something like that. Some people honked and didn't like it, and other people thought it was funny as hell. At one point, lots of people made videos and pictures, and then I think I seen a news van go by, and a friend of mine that's another transporter told me that the RV, made a news column clip in Indiana or Illinois news, somewhere there, about, they were referring to the gas prices and how people are reacting to it, and then of course they saw my RV with the sign on it. That got back to Synergy, I think, because Synergy gave me a couple phone calls today when I was busy with a cop who had pulled me over because that compartment door came out for the 6th time today. I hate to say it, but these are built for looks. They're not built to use. I can't even drive it across the country 1,400 miles. I'm 1,000 miles into 1,400 miles, and every day I'm finding new screws, and I'm finding the window shade, which I'll show you in a second, and then the compartment doors don't latch correctly, which that's more of a weather problem than their fault. But this other deal, let's see if I can switch this. Right there, as you can see, normal driving on the interstate, didn't off-road it or nothing. Just driving down flat hills and up and down hills, and the window shade come off. The slide itself on this side is like loose or something and coming in and out and needs to be tightened up or screwed in, or I don't know what the hell. It's not, don't go suing me for saying bad things on my video, because you are putting out low quality stuff. I can't drive 1,000 miles on a regular highway without something like that happening. You need, all of these RV companies, doesn't matter who it is, needs to have better quality checks, especially in Class A's. I don't know, they just fall apart everywhere. In my opinion, I would never buy a Class A. I'd live in one and use it if somebody gave it to me, but I'd only use it for a certain amount of time, and then I'd get rid of it before it all fell apart and I couldn't sell it out from under me because of how bad they are. I don't know, it's like they build them fast food style. You use them for 5 years and then throw them away or something. I don't know. But just from the almost a year transporting them, and I haven't taken that many Class A's. This is probably fourth one, fifth one, or something like that. I don't take them very often for that reason. Well, mainly for the fuel, and then second, because they're the ones that always have problems. This one has 2 compartment doors that come off. A piece of the door here came off that I put in there. The bathroom door latch thingy won't stay shut. This other one keeps trying to slam shut too. I'm gonna have to tape that shut. That fell off. I mean, I'm waking up with like 2 or 3 different screws on the floor each morning after I wake up, after I drove at night and didn't check it at night, you know. You wake up to the sunlight, you can see it. I personally would not buy that. Seeing this, now that I know that, and I hate to advertise it on my video like that. And I've been told by a different company that they could potentially sue me for putting out videos. I mean, it's not my fault that your merchandise, that your stuff that you're trying to sell is just crap. Maybe have a better quality stuff, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to rant on and on, but I'm just saying in terms of Class A's, not just this type. They're all not built very good. Class C's are middle of the way okay. And Class B's usually, because they don't, especially when the Class B's aren't the added on, the box that goes on to the back, the cutaway. If they're not that type, then they're just built right into the already existing van shell. They tend to hold out better, at least the shell does, because it's all metal and built that way. It's automotive more than RV. Sorry, my camera is repositioning. So this is the gist of this video, because it's going to take forever to upload it. I'm not trying to complain too much. I'm just trying to state that in the future, my employment and my overall plans might change. Partially due to me, but I already chose that path the other day. And I'm thinking about potentially spending the summer up in Alaska, trying to find something new to do up there that I've never done before. Just, again, so I can experience something new with my life, because we only have 100 years. Roughly, most human beings only have 100 years to do something with their life. And don't get me wrong, I'm okay. I like doing transporting. I think I'm just getting burnt out on the driving all the time. Just in general, not the industry. It's the doing the same thing over and over, and then I'm sitting here by myself talking to you on a camera instead of having any kind of a real social life with other human beings, you know, and you miss that part after a while too. And so in a month from now, it's March 15th now, and I started with Synergy in April 23rd, and I think I started with Quality at just about May 1st, or maybe the next week after April. Somewhere between the 2 weeks in April and beginning of May, because I started with Quality right after I started with Synergy. And it's been a blast, you know. I wouldn't take that time back for anything, but at the same time, like I said before, there's the newbie, there's the intermediate where you kind of know what you're doing, and then there's the kind of expert level. And I hate to, you know, brag or anything, but it just feels like I've done everything I can do transporting, and the stuff that I'm taking now. On occasion, I get a new one that I've never driven before, and I have to deal with slides and stuff like that, and some of them are good, some of them are not. But for the most part, I've kind of reached this plateau, and is kind of looking for something else to do. I don't know what that new chapter in my life is going to be. I don't know. But I do know one thing. I'm better off starting it now. Well, not now, in a month from now, probably when it's a little bit warmer, during the summertime, than you are, you know, going all summer long transporting, which I'd love to do, by the way, because I could save money and not be in hotels and everything. Because transporting during the summer, that's when you want to do it, because you can stay in these rigs for free, and the temperature overnight does not get that low, that cold, and it's not basically as miserable as wintertime can be. And I think that's part of the problem that I should have done. I should have been transporting in the summer and took the time off in the winter, and then came back to it in the summer. That's probably what I should have done. But anyway, I'm better off if I'm going to switch occupations and do something else altogether. I'm better off doing so within this next month and a half, 2 months. That way it's summertime and warmer, rather than go all summer long transporting like I'd love to do. And then I would screw myself at the end, because you'd be looking for someplace to live and somewhere to work and everything right at wintertime. So I don't know. I have a few other options. I could go back to Miles City and work up there to some places, but again, I've already done that before. I'm looking for a new adventure. You know, I'm tempted to fly to Alaska and stay there and check it out for a while. And then when I get done with that and it's still like midsummer or something, maybe go over to New England states where I haven't spent as much time, like Delaware and Vermont and Maine and stuff like that. I've been there before, but I haven't spent much time in it, in those states. But technically, when I get to Alaska, it'll be all 50 states that I've been to. And I'm tempted to go up there to scratch that off the list if nothing else. Now, who's to know what's going to happen? I'm a little bit nervous as to what Synergy's going to say with what I did this weekend, but at the same time, I knew the consequences of my actions, so to speak, when I did it. Didn't care then, and I don't really care now. You know, I mean, I do, but I don't. If I can keep on going with them another month or two, great. If I could keep on going all through the next summer before I get burned out, great. But at the same time, there's another part of me that's just getting burnt out on driving, and then I'm losing out on the social experiences of life, you know, the meeting new people and stuff like that. I even thought about going back to work for Yellowstone, but not Yellowstone itself, but go up to Glacier Falls. I think they call it Glacier Park or something up there by Kalispell, Montana, because I've always wanted to work in that littler park. It's like a smaller park than Yellowstone, but work for a sanitarian again, but do something totally different than I've done before. And then, of course, be able to meet new people, make new friends and stuff like that, and be a little more social than I am doing this job all by myself. So, have not decided what to do yet. If you hung out around long enough listening to all my ranting, please check out my merchandise below in the description. Share this video. I am trying to get more subs. Like and subscribe. Let me know what you do and don't like about it. I'm trying to separate the RV tour videos from my ranting and raving and complaining, because I've had a couple subscribers tell me that they don't like to see that while they're seeing an RV tour. Well, I'm not doing the typical RV tour type video to sell this stuff, I can tell you that much. Class B's I would get behind 100% on saying, yeah, you should go with this Mercedes or this Dodge Ram Nova or whatever that they make that I've driven before, because those ones with adaptive cruise and all that, those I could get behind. I would back saying almost any Class B out there is worth buying, because you can at least get 20 years out of them. A Class C, 10 years maybe, depending how they're built. Class A, 5 years if you're lucky, and that's 5 years of using it on the weekend every now and then, and definitely not living in it, like you full-time living in it. If you're gonna live in something full-time, just over for in general, if it's just you or just you and your partner and not kids, I would recommend a Class B, because your life will be so much easier. You can pull up a Class B right into a small gas station, just for those in and outs, you know, 5 seconds worth of in and out, and it just makes your life a whole lot easier. Because when you get a big old 40-foot Class A like this, just today alone, the only spot that I had over in Flying J parking lot, which this Flying J is kind of small anyway, was at the fuel island for the RV fuel island spot. That was the only spot I could park this because of how long it was. Yeah, I could go out in the back, the truck side, but I'm saying for an RV that's the size of, almost the size of a truck, you know, and then it just makes your life a little more complicated on driving it, you know. It's driving and turning the 90s and everything. If you're going to live in something on a day-by-day basis, I don't recommend a Class A unless it's one of those smaller Class A's that they make that are about the size lengthwise of a Class C, but they're a small Class A. Don't get one of these big ones unless you're just going to go out in the desert and party it up and you know, have it 4x4s and side-by-sides and all that. Then this thing is perfect for that. But if you're going to live in it full-time, I personally wouldn't. I mean, if you're all about the space in the house and everything, then I could maybe see. But me personally, I would consider fuel mileage, being able to get around easier, rather than having the space. And there are Class B's that you can have the headroom, lengthwise the headroom, and widthwise you're not that squished in. You can even buy a Class B sometimes that has a slide if that's your thing, you know, and you want more width space to be able to walk around in there. They do make some of them that have a slide on them, if that's your thing. I personally would stay away from slides because of the wear and tear and the need to keep up on them, but there are Class B's that don't have slides. I would highly recommend, I haven't driven it yet, but I would highly recommend the Unity Flex out of, I think they're a Canada-based company that makes them. But the Unity Flex or the Unity Island bed, because they do give you a decent length and everything you would need, but they are in a Class B, kind of a Class B plus. The length of almost of a Class C, because they're 25 foot long or something like that, but they're built in Class B style extended van. That's what I would recommend. Like and subscribe, leave comments, and we'll catch you on the flip. Peace.